Originally, my broadcasting career started in 1949 as a young announcer before I was out of high school. This was in Worcester, Ohio. Worked in radio there and at WHBC in Canton. Went to the Army 52 to 54, came out, went to school and went back to radio, WJWTV, or WJW Radio in Cleveland. Worked there nights and weekends. And just a sidebar, those were the days of Alan Freed, who was the original Moondog House program, and it was Alan Freed who brought the term rock and roll into the popular lexicon. I worked as his newsman. From there, went to WCKY, or to Columbus, changed schools, went to Columbus, and got a job at WTVN TV, Channel 6, the days of live TV. No tape, you were live. So what you did, you did. If you're going to die, you died on live camera. Those were exciting days. From there, back to WHBC, then WCKY, Cincinnati. And from there, came to join Hardman Associates in Pittsburgh as a writer and actor. So that's how I happened to be the right place at the right time to be fortunate enough to get a part in this film, Night of the Living Dead. At that time, we were working very closely with the video side of the operation, the folks over at the Latent Image. We were all doing commercials. They were doing TV commercials. We were doing radio commercials, writing and producing, and we were doing a lot of industrial shows. So we had a lot of experience on camera, so to speak, combined the efforts of the two companies to make this film. So it was pure happenstance that I was on the scene at that time as an experienced newsman. And so I was able to take the basic scenario, basic concepts of this story, and create a news reporting script from it as though it's actually happening at that moment. John Russo, the writer, and the other folks involved from over there. I was not aware how professional they were because I knew that they had been doing TV commercials. But when I saw them in action on the movie set, these folks knew in what direction they were going. There was no floundering, which kind of surprised me. I thought, okay, this is going to be like Man Overboard. Not so. These folks had a good, clear concept of the art of filmmaking. They knew how they wanted to do it, and they knew what effect they wanted in the end result. They're very, very professional. These guys knew what they were doing. But your first trip to that old house in the middle of the field, after dark or at dusk, where there's nothing else around, that was spooky to start with. And then to find the people who are assembled there for their various parts, getting into makeup, rehearsing lines. It was kind of appalling as what it was. Now, the kitchen in the house was the busiest place you could imagine, because the items, the entrails that the ghouls are devouring in various places in the movie, were actually provided by a local butcher near Evans City. So who in the cast did it, I don't know, would go and gather up these various entrails, bring them to the house. The stove was always on, and there were big pots of water. Everything was boiled. I mean, before it passed anybody's lips, that was boiled and sterilized first. And that was the aroma you wouldn't believe. So that was unforgettable. I often would fix a hamburger with my propane stove on the tailgate of my station wagon. My reaction was not what I suspected. My reaction was one of being overwhelmed, because I recognized the various snippets that I had been part of or had seen snippets of during the production, and always wondered how they were going to bring it all together. I was astounded at the contextual excellence of this movie. The the way they the way it was edited together with the music track, the music and the sound effects, which came from Hardman Studios' library of the Capitol High Q, the music library, and it all just seemed to fit. It was just impressive. I couldn't believe it. I have seen the film, I guess, countless times, because it's always on some TV channel every year around Halloween, would you believe? And so it can always be found on some cable channel. We're past the era of drive-in theaters, but it was one of the main attractions at every drive-in theater across the country. Usually the last on the 3-picture bill of any night at the drive-in theater. A drive-in theater where I was in the town where I was working as sales manager for a radio station, and I had been working hard to create my Mr. Sales Manager image in the community. And here comes the movie, and up on the marquee right outside of town, Night of the Living Dead, starring radio station's own Chuck Craig. Well, there went the image. I mean, right down the tubes. I had to do some, it made for a lot of exciting, interesting conversations around the community. I had fun with that. That was a great reaction from the public. So, yeah, you can usually count on Night of the Living Dead to be around. And, of course, now with DVDs, why, everybody who wants one's got a copy, I suppose, or should have. Go out and buy one.